Hi everyone, it's Miss Rebecca. Today you're going to need a white piece of paper that's vertical or up and down, a pencil, an eraser. You're going to need some crayons or oil pastels. You're going to need markers and a watercolor set. Let's get started. Today we're going to create a cup. So let's get started. Find the center of your paper and we're going to draw a vertical line going up and down. Doesn't have to go all the way to the top or bottom of your paper. It's just right in the middle. Now create a horizontal line going across the top, and you're going to notice there's a little part sticking out right there. That's okay. Leave that. And they're equal on both sides. They're the same length on both sides. Now find the bottom of that vertical line and make a horizontal shorter line. You're going to notice there's a little part sticking out the bottom, and that's okay. Now create a curve. The curve starts on one side, goes to the top, and finishes on the other side. And then create another curve. Starts on one side, curves, and goes to the other side and stops. Now we're going to do the same thing on the bottom, starting a curve for the top and a curve for the bottom. And try your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. It looks like a set of lips. Now on the side, you're going to create a straight vertical line. Mine's not perfect, but notice there's a space there. So do that on both sides. Make a straight vertical line, and notice there's a space at the bottom here. Now what we're going to do is find that short horizontal line and create a curve that connects right here. Notice it's connecting to that side. So you're going to do the same thing on both sides. Curve and connect. Now that's the bottom of your cup there. Now you're going to create the little base for your cup. So you're going to create this little two lines that go vertical here, and the curve follows that same curve of the bottom of the cup. And we're going to do the handle. The handle of the cup is the shape of a ear. Looks kind of like if you were to draw an ear or just a curve. We're going to double that up. So you're just going to follow the curve so that is pretty much the same width all the way around. Now we're going to darken everything that we're going to keep, because we're going to have to erase a little bit. So I want you to darken this on the top, these two curves, this oval shape, and I want you to darken the outer edge of your cup. So that means these two vertical lines and the curve at the bottom of your cup. So I like you to outline everything, even the base. Okay, and this is the bottom of the cup. So I'm outlining it a little bit darker. So now we can erase it a little bit. You don't need these guidelines anymore. So you can go ahead and take your eraser, brush off any little eraser bits, and erase inside the cup. So you're erasing those guidelines. You don't need them anymore. And make sure you outline your handle nice and dark, because we're going to keep that. And just take your pencil and outline it a little bit darker. And there we have it. Okay. Keep curving around. And we're going to erase this. We don't need these anymore. There you go. Okay, so we have our basic cup shape. Now, I like to put a little base, extra base or placemat, just an oval that goes around the base of the cup. So it's this oval shape repeated again. Similar to the shape of the top of the cup, except wider. So play around with it until you get the shape that you like. If you have to erase like me, it's okay. Just take your time. And once you like it, outline it a little bit darker. Now we're going to create the table that this cup is sitting on. So just draw a horizontal or straight line going across your paper, sort of midway on the cup. Now, find the center of your cup on the bottom. Make a vertical line that goes straight down to the bottom of your paper. Now we're going to create a checkerboard pattern. The lines are going to slant to the left, on the left side of that vertical line. So I'm just slanting those lines. They're diagonal lines that slant to the left. And then find that center vertical again, and we're going to make those diagonal lines slanting to the right now. They're evenly spaced. And just take your time. And you should fit 2 fingers in between those spaces. So if you made them a little too small, you might want to make them a little bigger. The spaces just should have 2 fingers that fit. And now we're going to make the horizontal lines that are as straight as you can get without using a ruler. And we're creating those horizontal lines throughout the entire bottom half of this picture to create that checkerboard pattern. So it looks like this cup is sitting on a table and the table's covered with a checkerboard. Now, I'm going to X out every other square. So that way when I start to paint this, I won't make a mistake and mess up my pattern. So I'm going to figure out which ones I can put an X in, because I'm going to go black and white, black and white. So if I was to go black and then white, the black is where I'm putting the X. And I'm kind of figuring out where to put that X. I'm going every other square, and that's the pattern. Black, white, black, white, black, white, black. So keep saying that to yourself as you skip over the squares so you can figure out how to create your black and white pattern. But it will help you if you go through and put an X on every square that you're going to make black before you try to color them in. And if you look, the squares that are diagonal to each other are usually the same color. Black, white, black, white, black, white. I'm just checking over, making sure I have it. Now, we're going to do the background, which is all this space surrounding the cup. We're going to use a lot of different patterns, and we're going to divide the space into 3 sections. So I'm going to make a vertical line on the side of my cup and a vertical line on the other side of my cup to break up that space into 3 sections. And now I get to think of 3 patterns. So I'll start with my favorite pattern, polka dots. So different size circles I'm going to fit into this section. Some large, some small, some medium. And I'm going to repeat large, small, medium circles throughout this whole section. So just carefully repeat a shape, and you could repeat triangles or you could repeat squares. or you could repeat rectangles. You don't have to copy mine exactly. So if you want to do your own pattern, please do your own pattern. But I love my polka dots. So I'm filling this section in, and now I think I'm pretty done with this section. Just adding a few more. Now in this section, I'm going to do zigzags. Now if you remember that pattern, it goes down and up, down and up, down, down and up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And what this is a pattern that repeats the same kind of line. And we're filling in this whole section with that same pattern. Okay, almost there. One more section to fill in with a line or shape, and I'm going to pick a wavy line. Wave, 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 wave. I go all the way down in this section to fill it up, and this pattern is completed. Okay, now we're going to create something in the cup. So create a curve that follows the top of the cup, just like that. And that looks like there's something in there. So now we're going to make steam, because what's in there is hot. And I'm going to make a wavy line. I'm starting at the bottom again, and I'm going to follow my wavy line. Notice my wavy line gets a little wider at the top and then points down towards the cup. So I'm making a wavy line and starting at the bottom, having it go all the way to the top. And that's like the illusion of steam. So now I'm going to erase everything inside my steam. Okay, erase these because this polka dots are behind and the steam is in front. So I'm just erasing that, getting that finished up. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now I'm adding an extra pattern inside the base or the placemat, the coaster. Just repeating some curves. Okay, just to add further visual interest. And then I'm going to create a design on the inside of my cup. So I'm going to divide the cup into 3 sections, but this time I'm going to use a curve and another curve here. So now I have 3 sections that I can design inside the cup. The first one, I'm just going to create some vertical lines. Keep it simple. And there. The next one, I'm going to make zigzags up and down like a triangular pattern. Up and down, up and down. And then through the middle, I'm going to make circles. So I'm just making a small circle and a large circle, a small circle and a large circle. And there you have the pattern. Okay, so I'm laying my picture down flat because I'm going to paint. I'm setting my paint set on the right because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to start with the checkerboard pattern. Now I laid the paper flat because if you try to paint up and down, your paint will drip. So I'm going to make sure I paint all the X's black. I'm just taking my time here. I have this on fast forward just because I paint kind of slow, so I am making sure to stay in the lines. And this is that pattern of black and white that we were drawing earlier, and I'm just painting all the X's black. So for this, you could use a black marker. You don't have to use black paint, but I find when you have to fill in large areas, it is faster to use paint. But again, whatever you're more comfortable with. So if you don't want to paint, you don't have to. But I like to paint, so I chose paint for this part. So just very carefully stay in the lines, and you're doing your black and white checkered pattern. There we go. Looking good. Now, if you didn't want a checkerboard pattern that's black and white, and you wanted to do a different color, like purple and white, or two different colors like yellow and green, you could do that too. It's up to you. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Okay, almost there. And there we go. I'm going to set my paints aside, and I'm going to switch to a black marker. So now I'm going to outline, and I'm only going to outline my cup. So that means just the outer edge of the cup, the base and the top of the cup, and the handle. I'm going to outline that with black. All right. Now I'm going to use some markers. I forgot the steam. And outline that with black too. There we go. Now I'm going to use different colored markers to fill in the patterns inside the cup. So I'm going to do similar to the checkered pattern, where it's going to go this color here, magenta, and then white, magenta, and then white, magenta, and then white, and then magenta again. And that's a pattern. Now I'm going to change to yellow and make my circles here yellow. I'm just going to repeat. I'm going to outline and repeat and fill in all these little circles. And then I'm going to switch colors to green. And I think I'm going to do a green and purple pattern here. So I'm just outlining this pattern with green, and I'm only going to fill in every other triangle with green. So notice that it's going green, and then white, and then green, and then white, and then green, and then white, and then green again. And then I switch to my purple, and I just fill in the rest with purple. And it's another pattern. For small details, markers are great. Now you could paint this, but painting tiny details sometimes is difficult, and the paints can blur or blend. Okay, so now I'm taking my orange and my green. I'm going to create a pattern in this placemat of green and of orange and then green. Orange and then green. So I'm going to do orange, skip a space, and then orange again and skip a space, and then fill in with green. There we go. So in that, we have a pattern once again. Okay, there you go. Now, notice in all these parts, we're going to just leave it white. I'm going to make whatever's in the cup the color brown. And the rest of the cup I'll just leave white. Now, I'm going to change to my oil pastels, but you could use crayons. And what I'm going to do is do some outlining with the crayons. So I'm going to outline my first wavy line pattern that's in the background with this blue. Just outlining. And then I'm going to change colors. I'm going to use this lime green. And I'm going to outline all my little circles and all my big circles with this green crayon. There we go. Take your time. And then I'm going to take red and I'm going to outline my final pattern, which is the zigzag pattern. So I'm just going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and outlining my zigzag pattern. Now, I'm going to go back and fill in some of these circles with yellow, just to be extra fancy. And whatever patterns you decided, you can fill them in, outline them, color them however you like. Doesn't have to be exactly like mine. Now, I'm going to change to watercolors again. And I'm going to do 3 different colors. I'm going to paint right on top of where that crayon is. Oh, now, this is an example of bleeding. So you see that? If you make a mistake, you can sometimes just wipe it off with your hand or your finger or a napkin. But sometimes it just bleeds and you have to leave it alone. But that's what watercolors do. So I filled in that whole section with yellow. Now I'm going to fill in this whole section with orange. And I'm trying to be careful not to touch the other colors because I don't want to make any more bleeding mistakes where the colors blend together. So I'm just filling in, going around my mug or my cup very carefully. And the last color I'm going to pick is blue. And I'm going to fill that in. Use a lot of water. When you use watercolors, use a lot of water. And notice you can see the crayon still through there, the oil pastel. You could see it. So that's good. And that's that. Now if you want to add a little more pizzazz, you can add a little more wavy lines in your steam, and there you go. I'd love to see how your cups came out with your patterns. Post your stuff on Google Classroom. Bye guys.